Let's see if we can't get that media requesting on. Here we go. Show on stream. And it should be playing in a little bit. Cool, 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 cool. everyone, welcome back to another Wednesday, whatever Wednesday stream. It's no longer Video Wednesday uh or what do we call it for? Void Vogue Void Vogue Wednesdays. It's no longer any of that. It's just basically whatever marker I want to do on the Wednesday in question. So today, for our first official whatever Wednesday, I suppose. Wow, people in the co-working space behind me are actually going to be using this area, which is normally empty. Well, okay, we're going to have to compete with a little bit of noise today, but that's no problem. Um, so for the first whatever Wednesday, I'm gonna be finally putting some notes down, taking some notes down, and making a concrete action plan for my always or seemingly forever ethereal, uh, um, always work in progress Monster Hunter conversion of 5e, and not really conversion, just an adventure really. I just want to make a West Marches style Monster Hunter adventure for people to jump in and join whenever they have the time to play and whenever I have the time to GM. And it's a pretty low commitment campaign. Um, the basic tenets of West Marches style campaigns apply. So there's going to be a home base. Where people who are offline or out of session can be doing downtime activities that will contribute to the progress of and the gameplay of the actual players who will have ongoing sessions at any given moment, and everyone's activities affect and play off of each other. um, and so this makes it so that people can easily drop in, drop out of any given game. And I want to do this with a Monster Hunter flavor because I've been bitten by the Monster Hunter bug. Well, when I first conceptualized this idea, that was, I think, a couple years ago or a year ago. So yeah, I was bitten by the Monster Hunter bug back when the game came out on PC. And now Iceborne is coming out soon. Well, it came out for console. It's coming out for the PC in January. So I'm redoubling on my efforts to actually get something written down. So what do I have in front of us here? Okay, in this overlay, you see me. Hello. Then we've got our chat down there, and then over here to nope, over here to the right is the main workspace. So I'm going to be using this for research, studying, note taking, and essentially everything that I'm going to be writing down for the Monster Hunter campaign. Now, I'm going to have a hyper focus on one specific encounter for this stream because I actually already will have a playtest going on Friday. So this is actually going to be used, whatever I make today and refine tomorrow, is going to be used on a game on Friday, which I'm running for a private group of friends. Offline, sorry, this will not be streamed. This is just going to be for the benefit of my close friends and for myself because I'm going to be bouncing these ideas off of them. And hopefully they will be able to offer some suggestions and comments for improvement. Or if they just liked it entirely and didn't have any complaints, then I know I'm on the right track somehow. So yeah, let's get started. This is going to be West Marches. Now, what is West Marches? Let's go ahead and Google that just to make sure that we have a good idea of how to make a West Marches style game. So West Marches. Here we go. Here's a link to the guide. We are doing. We're not taking the setting, right? We're just going to be getting the concepts of a West Marches campaign so that we can kind of have an analog to the Monster Hunter version. So welcome to the West Marches. West Marches is a one-shot format. Good, because on Friday, that's what we are playing. It's going to be a one-shot with the option to proceed into an actual ongoing campaign. Many groups can play sessions in the same shared world. That's very good. That's exactly what I'm looking for. If you ever have trouble running a regularly scheduled game, the West Marches gives you a game you can fall back on. This guide will show you how to create a world for you and your players to explore, how to populate that world with believable and interesting NPCs and communities, and how to track the world as it changes from season to session to session, or season to season. I suppose that fits too. Okay. One thing I forgot to open was my chat overlay, just so I can make sure to keep track of whoever might be chatting. Um, no expectations. This is a pretty hyper niche stream. I don't think it's going to be entertaining for a lot of people. Just wanted to document this just in case it might be interesting to anyone out there. How do I make this always on top? Bear with me for a moment. Here we go, always on top, click through mode, and uh, what do I need to do? I need to make the opacity, there you go, reduce the opacity a little bit. And that ought to do it. Okay, so back we are here on the guide. Uh, wow. Do we actually have to use the... Right, there you go. Oh, okay. So it's formatted as a folder here on Google Drive. Uh, what is Versicali? Is this his own? All right, so this is this dude's own version of the world. We can build off of this and just reflavor it for our Monster Hunter campaign, our Monster Hunter session. And to do that, let's go ahead and open up Monster Hunter lore in the wiki. Here we go. Now, there's actually a pretty deep lore in Monster Hunter, and I think I started writing and collecting some information down from before. Let me just see if I still have that document somewhere. I think this is it. Yeah, here we go. So this is my one shot that I started writing way back. Is this? No, no, this is not what I wrote. This is a shared, I believe this is a shared, whatchamacallit, a shared document. I'm going to go ahead and open up this one. Guild Knights is, I believe, what I called, this is the subtitle of my campaign. Because these are actual factions in the Monster Hunter lore. The Guild Knights were like, who watches the Watchmen? They are the hunters of Monster Hunters. They're the Monster Hunter police, the MHP. So, I mean, obviously, in a world like Monster Hunter, there needs to be, it can't just be free for all hunting. You can overhunt, you can drive certain monster species to extinction. That's why all of the monster hunts that you take are done through the quest, right? The guild marm, or the oh, what's the name in Monster Hunter World? It's just the quest, lady. Guild quest NPC. That's why it's not just, you going out into the world. Well, technically in Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter 4, you can actually do that with expeditions. Um, okay, it kind of breaks in that scenario. But in all of the old Monster Hunters, literally all of the quests that you could do were just assigned by the hub, or the guild, because they wanted to protect the specific ecosystems where these monsters lived. Except in special cases, of course, where there were monsters out of place, or they were wreaking havoc in a human settlement, which they didn't want to have people suffer that. So that's when certain quests would be listed by the guild, um, on a special case to case basis. And usually those kinds of quests were the ones that would rank you up in HR, at least until you broke HR. Um, and just enjoyed the game, just enjoy the game outside of the actual campaign. Anyway, I'm digressing. So I can build off of this. This was a Q&A kind of thing, or a campaign guide kind of thing for the players, and also for myself, just so I can keep track of the lore that I researched. Um, but yeah, we can have that on a tab on its own later, for reference later. Okay. Um, so obviously we're not going to be taking the exact, you know, the exact setting as suggested by this West Marches guide, but what we can do is use it as a starting point. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to add a new. How do I do this again? Oh, I have to actually add a, or let's just copy and paste this as a new file. Make a copy. We'll call this. Can I copy it to a not shared folder? There you go, my drive. Uh, Might as well have an official folder now. And we'll rename this to. This is going to be a new world. I don't want to call it Astera. Let's come up with a. Let's see what other locations exist in Monster Hunter lore. So you have the ancient civilization, they were a thing. Maybe we can look for Astera here in the lore. In the fandom, at least. The Guiding Lands. Oh, okay. So this is the Iceborne area. I have no idea about Iceborne content because I'm not on it yet. Okay. So they're not very creative with their naming conventions in Monster Hunter. The the world that Astera is located in is just called the New World. So we can probably get away with calling ours something as vague as that. But we do need a city name. We can, you know what? Since this is Dungeons and Dragons, we can call it the Underworld. This can be a, or not really Underworld, the Hidden World, the Lower World. It'll be like akin to the Underdark, you know? It's like a world beneath the subsurface. Um, yeah, we can just call it the Underworld. Um, and then we have this settlement would be like a it'll be like a traverse town. It'll be like a junction, a hub, um, for all of the activity by the Monster Hunter Guild, the Hunters Guild. Uh, this is a tentative name. We'll call this the Junction. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and just redo like almost all of this. We'll just find Vriskrali and replace it with the Junction, and come back to this later. Hmm. All right, we'll come back to that later, and continue reading like what else you have to do to make sure that your West Marches world is filled with all of the things that you need. Okay, so keeping all the information you need to run the West Marches in one place is one of the things that they suggest is to create a world Bible. The most important part of running the West March is having a resource that can tell you at a glance how and where a party 5 weeks prior died, and what they have on their corpses makes all the difference in creating the illusion of a living, or in this case dead, world. There are many ways to create and maintain a world Bible, but however you do it, make sure you keep it up to date and keep it simple. Brevity is your best friend here. Short and concise paragraphs that detail the major points of your session will make GMing a whole boatload easier. Okay. So this is well, this is the author's suggestion on how to do a world Bible. It's pretty standard, I'd say. One page on races and cultures, magic and technology. Okay. I think I'll use OneNote. Microsoft OneNote. I don't know why I pronounce it like that. OneNote for the World Bible. Um, it's not an online resource, but I can sync it. World building and faction building. Let's see what they suggest here. A few pointers on world building for the West Marches. Jumping off point. Yes, that would be Junction. No special equipment required. In order to help determine what player characters might encounter as they explore, they'll want to create a keyed hex map that we can refer to during game sessions. The idea being that as the PCs enter a new hex on the map, we can just look up its number on the index and see what they might discover. For creating hex maps, personally I use Hexographer, but recommend you use whatever you're most familiar with. There's nothing planned that requires any specific software. All we need is the ability to plot terrain types and features on a numbered hex grid, and we'll also need somewhere to keep an ordered list of notes because we'll be keying locations to those numbers. This is great. This is a nice way to do it because if my Monster Hunter setting is really going to be like an underworld kind of feel or a lost world kind of feel, then having that central jumping off point, which is the junction, uh, helps with the feel that everything else is unexplored, right? It's really Fog of War-ish. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Key everything, number your hexes, everything you write down that is somehow associated with a location on the map, write down the hex numbers. To start with, it will be easy to remember where everything goes, but after a few sessions, the amount of locations of importance and places the PCs have traveled or interacted with in some way grows astronomically. There is no way you are going to remember where those pesky, marauding goblins took the treasure that they got from the keep the PCs cleared out in session 1 on session 10. In the West Marches, keeping track of that stuff matters a whole lot more than what would normally. What? That sentence is kind of messy. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay. All right. That's duly noted. Creating fronts. What is this? Can I not open this in a new tab, please? There you go. West March's setting features groups, factions, and communities that have their own interesting agendas and values. These people's agendas and values may align with the players or oppose them. It's up to you. A good mix of moral alignments and diverse goals can really help bring the West March's setting to life. Okay, this is probably going to be super simplified in my setting because there's essentially just one faction, the Hunters Guild, and then everything else is wild. Uh, Monster Hunter is a very in this way, it's a very simple or simplistic view of the world. Um, everyone everyone is cooperative, everyone is good. You can assume that there's no nefarious individuals. Um, and then monsters are just forces of nature. They are the embodiment of nature itself. So they have no alignment. They have no ulterior motive other than survival, uh, and growth. So I can come back to this one later at a later time. Setting and atmosphere. Here we go. The setting for the West Marches is comprised of two things: a town and the surrounding lands. A town is much like the towns of the old Wild West, a frontier, a border town between civilization and the wild. The lands that have been tamed and the lands that have been tamed and feral. The lands around the wild, or around the town, are the wild unknown. Great plains, deep crevasses, and hunting barrows. The woods crawl with unspeakable horrors, and the swamps are best not spoken of. This is what the people of the town have at their doorstep, always creeping forth, trying to reclaim the land as its own. That sounds perfect. That's exactly what I'm going for in my setting. So glad to hear that this is the recommendation to go for. All right, and then the rest of the guide just suggests that cut out what isn't fitting in your atmosphere or in your setting. Um, don't know why it's not opening on a click anymore. West Marches is a sandbox hex crawl campaign. A large percentage of the game's structure involves the party picking a direction to travel, typically towards some location rumored to contain either wealth or power, traveling across the wilderness and discovering interesting and often dangerous stuff along the way. Um, don't know how much of that will be applicable for my Monster Hunter campaign. Unless, instead of making them, the Monster Hunter police, although they can still be, uh, these guys can be the expedition crew. The guys who Oh, and this can be an explanation of why they're not as good as the hunters in the Monster Hunter games. Because the expeditionary crew are the ones who scout ahead of the hunters to make sure that the locations themselves are known and to bring back quests for the guild to actually formally uh, uh, create and list and issue. Yeah, there has to be a scouting party, a forward party. So that's what my players will play as. They will explore this previously unknown land, um, and be the ones you know, to report on their findings and suggest to the Hunters Guild what kind of quests are needed to further exploration. Oh, I like it. Okay, we'll do it like that. All right. So enough about the guide to West March's style. Let's go ahead and take a look at what exactly I will be making um, our first playtesters do. Oh, Hexographer is a download tool. Okay, I thought there was a web version. Uh, Hexographer web app. HexCML, the web-based hexagonal cartographer tool. All right, let's try that. This is from a Redditor. Hopefully it's still, in development. Cool. All right, looks like it's working. Nice. I love it. It's just web-based. We can just use this as a starting point. This is perfect. Oh, you can even collaborate and create with other people. That would be good. I'll just share this with the players then. Um, cool, 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 cool. Hmm. Wait, this is an actual virtual tabletop? Whoa, interesting. Okay, okay. Uh, mhm. I don't need that yet. Oh wow, you can even turn it into a square if you need to. Square grid. Although I don't know why you would want to if you're already committed to developing uh a hex grid, a hex map. Let's see the tutorial, just so I know what I'm doing. Now click anywhere on the map to put forested hills. Oh, cool. All right, so it's yeah, you pick the tile that you're painting. All right, all right, all right. Got it. You can draw rivers. Oh, cool. I like that. Click on a red square at the bottom of this block. A blue dot will mark uh, the beginning of your river. Then click on the gray hex with an eye on it. Hmm. Do not try to draw a river by keeping the mouse button pressed. It will work. It will work, but it won't be pretty. To remove the river, use the following tool and click on the river you want to remove. That's this one. Okay. To draw roads, use this and this. This is a road. This is remove road. Okay. Hmm. Okay. So it's pretty simplistic, but that's all I need, really. Okay, I think we can figure out the rest on our own. Hmm, how do I get rid of these? So much for figuring out the rest on our own, yeah? Hmm. Oh, there you go. Okay. Uh, I want to delete the text icon. Is that possible? Delete button? No, that doesn't do nothing. Oh, you can just click on blank up there. Cool, 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 cool. Any way to change the size? Oh, here. Okay. Did that do anything? Uh-oh. I hung the website, I think. Yep. Refresh that. Oh, I just realized my background music's not playing. Let's go ahead and put that up. Show on the stream. There we go. Page unresponsive. Okay, we'll just exit the page first. It looks like this is still in testing. Okay, do blank. Okay, so at least there's tooltips for these. Let's make our town right in the middle. Chickaboom. Surrounded by grassland. And then a bit of a mountainous. Put some hills area up here. And a foresty area over here. So it's pretty typical, like, what do you call that term? There's a game design term for, like, starting areas being easier, less, less deadly than the other areas. I forget what that term is, though. Here we go. Town, village here. Put that down there. Oh, cool. You can change the color of the background. I didn't want to do that, though. There's an undo button. There you go. There. Don't have to do too much. What is usually between mountains and grassland? Here, forested mountains on that. Here. And continuing the hills. Like here is going to be a bit of our starting out to be the desert area. I wonder if this is making any sense. go. I'm kind of getting an idea already of what this campaign area will look like. Difficult thing is there's not going to be any seas because this is technically all Lost World undergroundy, kind of, you know, beneath the crust of the world kind of situation going on. So I'm not sure how I'm going to. Or we can just make, yeah, we can make that like the corners. Just copying out, and making all of the corners just ocean. Yeah, alright, we'll do that. You must place another shrubbery, says Dice Shop. Of course. A shrubbery? You must fetch me a shrubbery. Oh, hello Dice Shop. Welcome to the stream, by the way. It's good to see you again. Hope you had a good day. So I'm making a Monster Hunter style campaign, or West March's campaign setting, and I'm just dicking around with the tools for now. Do I want the forested area to terminate at the ocean? Yes, I do. Sure. We've got denser and hillier forests towards the center. We want our forested mountains to close off there. Alright, so this will be the first starting level. I'd say this would be from levels 1 to 5. And how can I put Fog of War? Fog of War, Fog of War. There should be a way to do Fog of War in this. Oh, here you go. So players will be able to see one hex out from the starting location, which is that town right in the middle. Yes, there. That is what I like. And we can work on the other levels as I gain more familiarity with about the tool and the setting that I want to work with. Wow, mega lag. It's taking about 1 minute for my text to appear on the screen after I type it. Oh, wow. That's okay. If it takes that long to appear on the screen, I can see it on Twitch coming up as soon as you hit enter. So it's just, you know, the screen is, oh darn, the Wilhelm's scream again. You got me. I swear. If someone puts Rickroll up on this, I'm probably going to have to issue out some ban hammers. Alright, so that's going to be our starting level, I suppose. You can go ahead and... Do I need to be online to save this? Or can I save it as a PNG? I see. And then we'll export as an image just in case as well. Level 1. Wilhelm just happened. Time this text from that. So about how far ahead of in the song are we? Well, yeah, about 30 seconds. 30, 45 seconds maybe. It's a pretty big delay, but nothing that we are not used to, I suppose. Could be because of the fact that I'm streaming again from co-working space. But I was streaming from a co-working space on Monday too, and the delay wasn't so big. It could be a Twitch problem, or one of the weirder things that we've encountered before is that sometimes it's a browser issue. Like, Artificity had a problem with massive delay, minute and a half long delay the other day. I think it was 2 days before the last stream, so, or 2 weeks before the last stream, so the week before last table talk. He was complaining about a minute and a half delay, and the way that we fixed it was he switched from Chrome to Firefox. I don't know. It's just stupid things like that. Alright, so we have a map. Players are going to start at the junction, which is the village in the middle. And then on Friday, I'm running this game on Friday, so I need something prepared already. Twitch problems exist? Surely you jest. No, Twitch is perfect. I need a good to go hunt that is good for not Frozen Seaway. Verdant Hills, what's the level of this? 4 second level characters? No, that's too low. Maybe one of these two. Stomping Grounds or Bird Brain Bandit, let's see. This one is 4 5th level characters, but it's a Raytheon. You can try this out too. Go ahead and download that. I actually like the idea of of making them fight a Raytheon right off the bat. That would be pretty funny. So this is 4 3rd level characters. It's a little bit too low. I want 4th or 5th level. Finfinder is not in the right location that I want to run their game on or in. Stomping Grounds, 4 2nd level characters, so that's a no. What? How come I can't open that here? There we go. Wrath of a Raytheon. Please note this hunt uses the rules for going on a hunt within Amellwind's Guide to Monster Hunting. A reference can be found at the end of this hunt. Sure. Verdant Hills, so that makes sense. There is Verdant Hills on the map. We can just put a hilly area. Maybe here. And then we'll change the background color. Oops. Okay, so this hunt is to just kill the Raytheon. The Raytheon does not fight alone. As the encounter begins, 2 Velociprey enter the attack and attack the party. They are not allies of the Raytheon. When a Velociprey is killed, another one enters the arena, or the area until the Raytheon dies. Sure. Wait, he's also throwing a Yankutku. Wow. And a Nursilla? What is going on here? I need to read the guide to monster hunting first because I'm not understanding the nomenclature that's going on here. Yeah, I need to I need to read the guide to monster hunting first because there's a lot of things here that are not native to 5th ed. So let's go ahead and figure this out. They said that there is a reference to it at the end of the hunt. I don't see it, but it's a good thing I already downloaded it. Let's go ahead and open that up. Alright, so the creator of this conversion, his name is Amellwind over on Reddit. 54 pages long. We'll go through this a little bit, or a lot of it. We're going to go through this the entire stream, I suppose. Welcome to Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter, the player takes the role of a hunter, slaying or trapping large monsters across various landscapes as part of quests given to them by the locals. As part of its core gameplay, players use loot gained from slaying monsters, gathering resources, and quest rewards to craft improved weapons, armor, and other items that allows them to face more powerful monsters. Rinse and repeat. This gameplay holds the same in this version of 5th edition of D&D. Below you will find the rules and differences for creating your own campaign or adventure in the world of Monster Hunter. Dice Check says, well, 2 AM, gotta get up for work in less than 5 hours. Have a good night, JP. Keep up the good work. Keep the dice rolling. See you, Dice Chuck. It's always good to have you around, even if it's just for a brief moment. Have a good night. Rest well, and hope that you have a good day at work tomorrow. So what is different? The biggest difference between your standard D&D game and a Monster Hunter style D&D game is the equipment and magical items. In a standard D&D game, players are rewarded as they travel through their game by finding magical equipment or purchasing it from a magic shop. Monster Hunter is a high magic setting game, but magical armor, weapons, and other items that do not have a limited amount of uses do not exist in the world. Instead, you gain materials from hunting creatures, gathering resources, or finding a merchant who offers materials for a cost. These materials provide magical effects that you slot into your weapons. Armor. All armor has a rarity from common to legendary. One moment, someone is trying to spam my Twitch. Okay. All armor has a rarity from common to legendary, but a legendary breastplate has the same AC as a common breastplate. Instead of AC increasing as the armor's rarity goes up, it instead gains additional slots that the hunter may put materials into. Interesting. Weapons. There are 15 types of weapons in the Monster Hunter universe. Sword and shield, dual blades, great sword, long sword, hammer, hunting horn, lance gun, lance switch axe, charge blade, insect glaive bow, light bow gun, heavy bow gun, and the magus staff. Wow. These are the only weapons available to the players and other NPCs. Normal D&D weapons do not exist in this world, but their proficiencies are still used to determine what type of weapon each class can use. You can find information about the weapons, though features each weapon does in the weapons section of this guide. How do I obtain materials? Obtaining materials to upgrade your weapon and armor is a core part of Monster Hunter. The two most common ways to obtain materials for you is carving materials off your kills or capturing larger creatures in the field. Occasionally, a hunter may get lucky and come across a discard material in the field, possibly from a creature shedding or what is left over from another creature's kill. There is rumored to be a tradesman that travels from location to location that offers materials for a price. Carving your kills is one of two ways to obtain materials while on a hunt. And you can do so by making a dex survival check against a creature's carve DC. Okay. And then you compare that result against a loot table, which is on another PDF. Okay. Capturing certain creatures can be captured. A creature that can be captured will have a captured section of their loot table. A captured creature may provide loot that you are unable to obtain, an increased or decreased chance to obtain certain loot that you may have gotten from carving. When you capture a creature, you obtain a number of materials as labeled in the creature's loot table. No check is made, but the material is not gathered until your return to town. Alright, the Hunter's Guild is the central governing body within the Monster Hunter universe. Its primary purposes are to regulate all hunting activities and manage the monster population. The Hunter's Guild and hunters don't exist to annihilate all monsters, they exist to harmonize humans with nature by hunting said beasts. In order to enforce and balance this policy, the Hunter's Guild uses hunters, making them a major part of the corporation. Hunter's Guild headquarters are located in the city of Dundorma, and all major announcements and actions are made from this location. Beyond this, the Hunters Guild commands a sprawling territory comprised of many districts located in a multitude of regions. Each district has a guild master that manages the district, though not all of them are the best managers. The main districts of the Hunters Guild are the Minegrade, Dundorma, Loklak, Tanzia, Valhabar, and Mesoportia districts. Hunters Guild certified gathering halls can be found in all major city centers, such as the ones noted above. Smaller Hunters Guild outposts are commonly set up in less populous and more remote towns and villages, such as Poke Village, Moga Village, or Yukuma Village, and are handled by one or more Hunters Guild employed representatives. These smaller outposts are considered to be part of the larger districts. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to be taking this, because that is a lot of information to front load on my players for Friday. Poaching is illegal to the Hunters Guild. Poaching can lead to a multitude of punishments, but most commonly death at the hand of a guild knight. Oh yeah. Oh, shit, this guy did so much research. I love it. Hunter's Guild crest has 4 symbols on it. Each symbol on the crest has a meaning that the Hunter's Guild follows. The north represents respect for nature, the west represents life as a community, the south represents crafting from nature, and the east represents prosperity from nature. Okay, so this tenet of the Hunters Guild aspect, or this aspect of the Hunters Guild, is going to work in my favor. So, though the Hunters Guild is connected together, each district of it prefers to work alone. So they can be pretty separate and isolated from each other, and it's fine. It's in canon. It's part of the lore. Usually when a monster is captured, it is torn apart in its sleep with ease by the corporation that requested it. Is due to said corporation wanting to research the body parts and organs of said monster, allowing them to better understand a certain species. The corporations that request for monsters to be captured include Elder Dragon Observation Team, Waikanabe, and the Royal Paleontology Scriveners. Only on some rare occasions the monster is tamed and becomes a person's pet. Cool. Magical items. Cannot obtain or find a flame tongue longsword, staff of frost, or any other magical armor. Instead, when you kill or capture a creature, the party receives a number of materials that can be inserted into their weapons and armor to gain their magical effects. Think of it as a create your own magical item. Magical items that have limited number of uses, such as potions, food, spell slots, spell scrolls, bag of beans, dust of disappearance, are allowed and made available based on your GM's choosing. Sure. Attunement. When you take a long rest in town, go on a quest, or go exploring, you choose the weapon, armor, and 2 trinkets you are bringing with you. You are attuned to these items and gain their magical benefits until you choose to replace your armor, weapon, or trinkets with another one when you take a long rest in town, go on a quest, or go exploring. I like this. When you go off on a hunt, the guild provides you with a set of felines that carry a cart to haul back a captured beast or materials you carve from it. Okay. Oh, thanks for the follow, Iveldy. Iveldy? I don't know. Correct me if I said your name wrong. But yeah, thanks for the follow. I hope you find this interesting. I'm really just reading off of a PDF right now. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any. Iveldy, you got it. Nice. Cool. Monster Hunter, you will have in Monster Hunter you will have multiple sets of armor and weapons in addition to a trinket, a pack, a belt to hold anything else that you think you might need. When you go off on a hunt, the guild provides you with a set of felines that carry a cart to haul back a captured beast, or the materials you cart from it, or your own ass if you end up carting during the quest. There are 5 rarity of weapons in Monster Hunter. Common, uncommon, rare, very rare. Ivaldi, I know the guy who created the doc, he put a ton of effort into it. Pretty cool to see it being reviewed. Yes, I'm in his Discord, and we spoke just earlier. Amellwind, he gave me some pointers for running this. I just backed him on Patreon a couple hours ago, although I have been aware of this for a while now. Didn't know that he took donations on Patreon, which is cool. Yeah, he seems like a nice guy. He's very helpful. He answered some questions that I had that were obviously answered by this guide to monster hunting. When I learned about this, all I knew about was the bestiary, the Monster Hunter Monster Manual. I didn't know that there was this guide. I didn't know that he also had these things, the hunts. It's very fleshed out. I'm quite impressed with all of the work that he's put into this so far. It's very, very impressive, and it's honestly, I thought that I would have a lot more work to do to prepare for my players for their game on Friday, in a couple days. But the fact that these guides, these PDFs already exist to explain how to run a MonHun D&D game, at least in this one person's opinion or point of view, is very helpful. I am very appreciative of his work, and I love that this exists already. That said, I'm probably going to be running a custom location. Like I'm familiar with these locations from the game, but my players are not. They've only played Monster Hunter World. So I might be doing a New World style of location and West March's style of campaign here, so that they can easily drop in, drop out if they can't all make it, or if I want to add new players. This will be pretty interesting, I think. All right, I want to see actually exactly how Amellwind translated the weapon types, because obviously in base Dungeons and Dragons you don't have things like the insect glaive or the bowgun, or the hunting horn for that matter, or the charge blade or switch axe. So let's take a look at this. There are 5 rarities of weapons in Monster Hunter: common, uncommon, rare, very rare, and legendary. Each rarity has a number of slots that the hunter can place materials into, enhancing their weapons with magical effects. Additionally, as the weapon's rarity increases, their effects also improve. So that goes from 1 to 5 slots, and the weapon can only have 1 extra damage or condition inflicting material. Okay. A weapon can only have 1 effect that uses runes. A weapon can only have 1 bonus to spell DC and spell attack rolls. A material can only be replaced with another material. Once replaced, the previous material is destroyed. Okay. What weapons can I use? There are 15 types of weapons in the MonHun universe. Sword and shield, dual blades, great sword, long sword, hammer, hunting horn, lance, gun lance, switch axe, charge blade, insect glaive, bow, light bow gun, heavy bow gun, and the magus staff. What is that? That's new. Um, spellcasters are a big part of D&D, but not so much with Monster Hunter. That's a good thing that I need clarified. The weapons alone provide no real benefit to a spellcaster as much as they do to a class that uses weapons more often. With that in mind, the creature you hunt can and will have materials that will benefit spellcasters in addition to some of the ranged weapons, providing some additional utility so that spellcasters do not feel left out. That's great. That is great. So I think this is the proficiencies that are being translated into Monster Hunter weapons. So yeah, you only need to have proficiency in one of the compatible weapons to have proficiency with one of the Monster Hunter weapons below. A weapon that has a shield requires both the shield proficiency and compatible weapon proficiency. Oh, interesting. So, sword and shield requires you to be proficient with shield and any one of the following. What else has a shield? Lance. I think Lance has a shield, right? Charge blade has a shield for sure. Okay, and then quarterstaves only get magus staff as their weapon. It looks like. Even the insect glaive, I think, requires something more than just quarterstaves. So that means all of the spellcasters are limited to using only the magus staff unless they choose to gain a weapon proficiency via a feat or multi-class into another class that has other weapon proficiencies. Alright, so you can upgrade the rarity. Some creature material will state that it is a rarity weapon crafting material. These can be used in place of the material listed in the table above. Okay, fair enough. A weapon that uses a shield doubles its cost to upgrade it. Oh dear. Okay. Same rules for the armor. It looks like there's additional details for the upgrading of armor here. But more or less the same idea. You can't stack the same type of boost across slots for armor or weapon. What armor can I use? You have access to all non-magical armor in the player's handbook. A PC at level 1 starts with the armor in their starting equipment of their class. A class that does not use armor, such as a barbarian, monk, or some spellcasters, can choose a piece of clothing as their armor. For example, this could be a robe, a tunic, or a loincloth. This armor provides no AC increase, but they can have their rarity upgrade the same way as a normal piece of armor can to increase the material slots for magical effects. Okay. Glad that's cleared up. It seems a little bit simpler than the weapon table. So what exactly does upgrading do? It doesn't say here what upgrading does it? Trinkets in Monster Hunter are not just for show. They have one material slot that you can place a weapon or armor magical effect into and still gain their benefit as if it was in a weapon or armor set. You can have up to 2 trinkets on you at a time, but you only gain the effect of one of the trinkets at a time. As an action, you can swap which trinket effect you are using. So that's kind of like having different mantles or different boosters from the Monster Hunter World game. Players can choose a trinket from the player's handbook, or perhaps a trophy from a creature they have hunted. If they do not find something they like on the list, the player can work with the GM to choose an appropriate trinket for their setting. Sure. Alright, let's walk through it all. With all the information you've read above, let's give an example of what you might see at the start of your game and how it all works. Conrad is a level 1 fighter who has just killed his first Great Jaggy. He is currently wielding a common greatsword, wearing chainmail that he got with his starting equipment, and has a tiny silver icon of the raven attached to his belt. Being excited over his first kill, Conrad attempts to carve the Great Jaggy to obtain some materials he might be able to use. The GM then looks up the Great Jaggy in the Monster Hunter Loot Table PDF. Let's open that now. Monster Hunter Loot Table PDF. So, Great Jaggy. I hope I can click this. Yes, I can. Theropods. Great Jaggy. Where is the loot? I see. Carve chance. Okay. Sorry, I'm in a co-working space, so we can actually hear all of the people behind us. Having lunch right now. Okay. So what do you roll for the carving check? Oh, you roll a d20. Alright, this is just 1 to 20. So 1 to 2, you just get a scale. 3 to 5, you get streamer sack. Okay. I see. Cool. Looking at the top of the table, Conrad gets 2 attempts of carving this creature. Where is that? Where does it say? Oh, I see. Okay, it's right here. Carve, capture attempts are 2. Alright. Looking at, here we go. He would also have gotten 2 rolls on the capture table, should he have captured it. Next, we need to determine the DC of the carve check. In the case, the difficulty is DC 11, which is 10 plus 1/2 of the creature's challenge rating, rounded down. So Conrad makes his first wisdom survival check and rolls a 13, a success. And on a success, we roll a d20. Conrad rolls a natural 20, which we compare to the carve chance section of the loot table. A 20 gets Conrad a bird wyvern gem. Where is that? It doesn't say bird wyvern gem here. It says imperial frill. I guess this is dated, which is an armor material that allows you to double the amount of days you can go without food or water before suffering a level of exhaustion. On Conrad's second carve attempt, he rolls another wisdom survival check and rolls a 9, with the DC carve being 11. He fails the second carve attempt. Just because Conrad failed doesn't mean he does not get anything. Instead, a failure results in you rolling a 1 on the creature's loot table. So he gets a Jaggy scale, which gives +1 to survival checks when placed into an armor slot. There you go. At the guild, he wants to make use of the materials he has just obtained, but realizes there is one issue. Both materials he gathered are both armor materials, and his common chainmail only has 1 slot. He has to choose which material to place into his armor. After some thought and deliberation, Conrad decides to place a Jaggy scale into his armor, gaining +1 to survival checks while he has this armor equipped. Oh wait, hey, there's... So stupid. There was this example table right here. Okay. He then places the bird wyvern gem material into his trinket because it can hold either 1 armor or weapon material in it. This way he can always have the bird wyvern gem's effect on long trips where he knows rations might become an issue. He can also then replace the Jaggy scale with a stronger material once he finds one he prefers. Alright, cool. Cool. I like how that works. It's very... You know what it is? It's very streamlined, actually. Oh, man. Oh, man. Alright, so I'm liking the way that this guy has proposed that Monster Hunter game be played on D&D's mechanics. Very cool. The vendors within the world of Monster Hunter provide additional items for purchase. All of this stuff I'm just going to go ahead and read the descriptions for the actual items instead of going through the list and GP costs, because that doesn't make any sense. Dash Juice. Your speed increases by 10 feet for 1 hour. That's really good. Mega Dash Juice. Your speed increases by 20 feet for 1 hour. Demon Drug. Strength increases by +2. So all of these effects are 1 hour, except for a few of them, like Armor Skin, which are 8 hours. And the pills are just 1 minute, so 10 rounds. I like the idea that hot drink and cold drink are still are still needed. Wow, you can tolerate temperatures as low as a negative 100 degrees Fahrenheit. What the heck is that in Celsius? Minus 100 Fahrenheit. Did I even spell that right? Is negative 73. Jeez. That is freaking cold. Wow. Okay. Immunizer. When you drink this vial of liquid, you gain advantage on saving throws against diseases for 1 hour. Cleanser. Immediately removes any ice, mud, or webbing on your body. Oh, this is nice. Deodorant actually does something. Psycho Serum gives you advantage on wisdom survival checks when tracking. That's a nice way to do it instead of just immediately making them aware of exactly where the location of a monster is. Alright, healing stuff. Herbal medicine, advantage on saving throws against poison for an hour, and you heal for 1d4. Wow, energy drink is... What? Is so good. It's basically haste. Nice. Life powder. Each creature within 10 feet of you heals for 1d4. Dust of life. Same, but 1d6. Alright, well, I'll just give these, you know, as a purchase option to my players, and they can look through it, and they can be the ones to decide how and when they'll spend their money. And I'll go and check the actual descriptions for these later on. That might bite me in the foot later, because there might be an item here that's just completely unbalanced. I like that the horns are only usable during short rests. Well, the health horn is only usable during short rests. That's really cool. Alright, so for the locations, yeah, this one I'll probably need help with. Oh, you know what? He details the locations very clearly in the guide. So I might just, you know what? I might just go ahead and use these instead of making a custom one. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, I'm liking this. I'm liking this a lot. I do want to find out though, like how to roll for like what exactly the players are going to encounter on a per hunt basis. I might have to practice this later. Wasn't this just listed right above? Well, that's okay. It's listed in multiple places, so at least you can check more than one spot. So upgrading weapons and armor allows for additional slot. It basically upgrades the rarity. Okay, good to know. Oh, apparently we have an important email over at Dicecast. I'll probably open that in a non-public window. Just give me a sec. Okay. Just one moment. I have to apparently check this email. It's regarding Dicecast business. Um. Okay. Okay, so apparently nobody pre-ordered. We have a sponsor partner, um, who is running a sale on their website, on their merch store, selling D&D accessories, and we have a promo code there that would give people, discounts to use. But that's okay. No one has used it yet. Yeah, that's okay. Okay. Oh, dang! You have to buy ammo. Almost forgot that was a thing. I rarely play as the gunners or the the bow gunners, heavy or light, in Monster Hunters. Man, I don't know if I am going to. Will I be doing something like, a stock, dynamic stock list? I should probably make up a table. Hmm. So the game designer advises you to have traveling merchants visiting towns once in a while to be able to sell monster parts. Hey Mark, welcome to the stream. We're gonna do a Monster Hunter game for Sarah and her cousins and Arvin um, on Friday. So I'm already starting to plan the adventure. Everyone, you should go visit Mark's channel, Mark Lobster. He sometimes plays music and BattleTech. I believe that was the last few things that you played before streaming exclusively over on our Dicecast channel. Go ahead and visit him at twitch.tv/MarkLobster. I'm gonna do a shout out right now. Let's do that. How do we do that again? It is by doing this over in Twitch chat. There you go. Mark says, I don't stream there anymore. I don't care. I'm still gonna promote your channel. Alright, so, cities, towns, and villages below you'll find information on Kokoto Village and notable NPCs living within the village. The village stat block will tell you what you will tell you what, wow, that is a weird sentence if I ever read any. Mark Lobster says, Dicecast show has taken over my life. Your life? Yeah. Well, no, to be fair, you've been doing more work on Dicecast show lately than I have. But yeah, I get you. Don't worry. Trish also agrees Dicecast show has taken over my life. Simple description of the village. It will tell you what type of races are most common in the village, what locations you would see within the village, and finally possible random events that may occur while the characters are in town. Below you will find notable NPCs, a brief history, their personality and appearance, and some events that may occur when the hunter completes a task, or possibly a motivation to send the hunter out on specific hunts. Okay. So again, I'm not sure if I'm going to be using the given village or the given settings for this one. I might not. I might end up just because this is a lot to digest, I might just end up making a table. Okay, not every item, material, or insect, fish, or plant within the realm of the Monster Hunter world has a purpose just yet. That does not mean that they are not of value. Researchers are in constant need of these materials to find new ways to improve the guild's ability to hunt and survive. Due to the demand for these items, the research fleet will provide compensation depending on its rarity. Yeah. We can do that, I suppose. This is all this is all for Monster Hunter World only. So it's kind of newish. I don't know if I'm going to implement it. Research fleet is kind of boring. Like it's one of the cool new things in Monster Hunter World that make it a easier game to get into for people new to Monster Hunter, but it's kind of boring in the Monster Hunter in relation to the rest of the Monster Hunter lore. But I mean, I guess here in the D&D conversion, they're basically just used as a bounty, you know, as a bounty system, so you can sell monster parts to them. Or not just monster parts, but other shit too, like fish. What the hell? All fish count as one ration except the gastronome tuna, which counts as 2 rations. Okay. You can also look for insects. You can be a bug catcher if you want to. After a successful investigation check to locate insects of interest in the area, A creature or a player, I suppose, must make a sleight of hand or nature check against the location's insect resource DC. On the success, you roll on the location's resource table, getting the insect listed. Below, you will find a list of insects, their rarity, and uses. Okay. Uh, Interesting. You can actually find the phantom butterfly here. They included it. Flash bugs can be combined with a bomb casing to make a flash bomb using Tinker tools. On the fail, the materials are destroyed. Okay. So I'm gonna relegate all of this to downtime activity, I suppose, unless players want to dick around during an actual quest and do, resource gathering. I mean, I don't see why people would take their time out of a hunt to try and do these things. Fishing, bug hunting, mining. It just seems counterintuitive, especially when hunts are still timed in this conversion. Although, yeah, you can make the argument that, players during a hunt might run low on resources. They'll probably need to, craft their own healing herbs or additional flash bombs. I guess they can do that, yeah. Downtime actions, cool. I like that they included solo hunts as a downtime action. Sometimes it's easier to hunt alone. The activity gives a character the chance to obtain some extra materials from creatures. The table below shows the maximum CR a character can hunt, depending on their level and difficulty they choose. Once they choose their difficulty, they can pick the creature they are hunting. Okay. Where is it? I mean, there should be a, what's going on here? Oh no, I'm misunderstanding. Okay, so you select the character, the encounter level that is appropriate for the character's level, and then they have to spend this many resources. Alright. Then the resolution is basically a series of DC checks. Okay. If none of the checks are successful, the character is severely injured and hospitalized. The injured character must spend 1 week in the hospital for every 50 gold of the initial cost of the hunt. Yikes. Okay. There's this dude named Trenya. Trenya can travel, characters can travel with Trenya on adventures. Trenya can help gather items for hunters, some of which can only be obtained through him. Trenya is a great way to gather materials for upgrading weapons and armor. Okay. This activity requires 1 work week of effort, and the character chooses a location for the adventure. The character has a choice between the snowy mountains, the jungle, the desert, or the swamp. Once the location is set, the character pays Trenya 200, 500, or 1500 gold pieces. And you get... I see. Okay, you roll on a table to get an item. Fair enough. Sell material can be difficult at times. Demand is not always there, and even if you have a legitimate buyer, you may not get the price that you are expecting. The character can find a buyer for a specific material by spending one work week and 25 gold, which is used to spread word of the desired sale. The character must pick one item material at a time to sell, but they can sell any number of that material. So it's an auction house listing. Alright. A character who wants to sell an item must make a charisma persuasion check to determine what kind of offer comes in. The character can always opt not to sell, instead forfeiting the work week of effort and trying again later. Use the material base price and material item offer tables below to determine the sale price. And then we get the appendix. Oh, Cool. So he went out of his way to make. This is what I was doing on my end before I just stopped development of the Monster Hunter campaign entirely. I was trying to find ways to make the D&D weapons more like the Monster Hunter weapons by giving. My execution of it was a little different. I would be giving feats based on um, the weapon that you would specialize in that would unlock additional actions for each weapon. But the way that Amellwind is doing it is quite different. Each weapon just comes intrinsically with different abilities. And then the different rarities of each weapon also allow it additional abilities. So like here with the Greatsword, non-magical, 2d6 slashing, right? Heavy, two-handed. The weapon has no special properties. Uncommon though, if you have an uncommon Greatsword, you get charged slash. When you hit a creature with this weapon, it gains 1 charge. Upon gaining 3 charges, the next creature hit by the attack takes an extra 1d4 slashing damage. And then if it's a rare greatsword, you get +1 to attack and damage. And then the charge slash upgrades to 2d4 slashing damage. And you get guard. As a reaction, you add 2 AC against 1 melee attack that would hit you. To do so, you must see the attacker and be wielding the greatsword. You have disadvantage on attacks until the end of your turn. Alright. Dang, and then very rare bumps that up to +3 AC for guard and 3d4 for the charge slash and +2 bonus on attack and damage. And legendary is an additional +1 to all of that stuff too. Nice. Sword and shield is the same as the D&D short sword and shield abilities. You get 1d6 slashing damage, finesse and light on the sword, and +2 AC on the shield. Uncommon ability gets you free hands. When you take the dodge action, you can use an object as a bonus action. So Mark is saying, so weapon quality grants feats. Yeah, because in this, you weren't around for the earlier part when I was reading the start of the magic items in the Monster Hunter conversion are non-existent. Like, in the Monster Hunter games, magic effects on items and weapons come from the monster parts that are used to craft those weapons, right? So, weapons and armor can have rarity, but no intrinsic magical effects. And the rarity of the item increases the number of monster parts that you can slot into them. And the different monster parts give you the magical effects that normally you get from traditional magic weapons and armor in D&D. So let's say I have a common, let's say common or mundane greatsword, a non-magical greatsword, doesn't have any special properties, but it still has 1 slot with which you can fill using a monster part that you have carved or captured from another monster. Shit, is this Yu Yu Hakusho? Yeah, it is. You're making SR requests, huh? So even if I am not high enough level to fight the higher level monsters like a Rathalos, right, that would give me the good parts, there's still that sense of progression because you can kill the lower level monsters like a Great Jaggi or a Great Jagras, and you can still earn and upgrade your weapons from those, regardless of having a mundane weapon or not. No, this stream really hiccuped. back. Oh, thank you. Yeah, as usual here at the co-working space, the network isn't great, especially for streaming. Oh, this is not Yu Yu Hakusho. This is Slam Dunk. Okay, my bad. I forgot. Where's my browser? Here we go. Freehands does... Yeah, use an object as a bonus action. It makes a lot of sense because that was the whole point of Sword and Shield, is that you can use your items. In Monster Hunter, you can use Sword and Shield users can use items without having to de-equip or sheath their weapon first. What does Rend do? Oh, interesting. It enhances... So Rend is an ability of the weapon that enhances a class's innate abilities. So, effects or class features that can cause a condition, such as Ranger's Ensnaring Strike, or some of the Battle Master's combat maneuvers, such as Tripping Attack or Disarming Attack, or any magical condition inflicting effect the GM may put on this weapon. If you use a Rend to do that, the creature makes saving throws against those conditions at a disadvantage. That is pretty cool. So, Short Sword in Monster Hunter D&D is a highly effective support weapon. Alright, what does Dual Blade do? 1d6 for each blade. Alright, so you get 2 swords and they each do 1d6. You get Demon Mode, which is plus 5 movement and an extra 1d4 weapon damage on the first attack. It's like Sneak Attack, but with movement. This will stack with Sneak Attack, by the way. And then the rare effect that you get with it is Inflict. When you hit a creature with this weapon where they make a saving throw against a condition causing effect, the save DC is increased by 1. Wow, and then for the demon mode stuff that upgrades every rarity tier, it goes from 1d4 on the first attack to 1d4 weapon damage, just flat out, to additional 1d4 weapon damage. Oh, okay, so that's the same. And then legendary is extra 1d6 weapon damage. That's pretty bad. I mean, badass, not bad. I might just end up printing this out. Because, it's kind of a bear to have to search through by hand. I'll have it printed out, yeah. There's probably a printer-friendly version of this to download. Shit, where is the... There you go. There you go. Guide updates. Is there no printer-friendly version? Guide. I don't think so. Let me ask on his Discord. Well, actually, I don't need to print these for the players because we're playing this digitally, right? Oh, I kind of want to see what the switch axe can do. This is what I like to use the most in Monster Hunter World. Okay, so the switch axis files have been changed here to essentially cause additional status effects. I don't know if I'm a fan of that, but we'll have to see how it plays out in the game if anyone is going to pick switch axe. I like the Charge Blades version. Yeah, what the Charge Blade can do is every time you hit with the Charge Blade, you store energy, you store a file, and then you up to five per user. So when you hit 5 times, that's it. There's no more stored files until you start using, and then you can then use those or expend those files either when you get hit as a reaction to kind of do like a mini hellish rebuke on the target that hit you, or you can expend a file as you hit again in axe mode to deal an additional damage to the enemy with your choice of damage type. That's pretty cool. Yeah, the Charge Blade has always been cool. I was always more partial to the Switch Axe because of the style of it in Monster Hunter World. But for, for this tabletop conversion, I think he went traditional Charge Blade. I'm sad that Switch Axe got the shaft here though. Switch Axe was raw fucking damage in World. Or just damage output of Switch Axe I think is one of the highest in the game. Consistently highest. I loved it so much. And the style of it, ridiculous. Charge Blade and Switch Axe are like cousin weapons in that regard. Insect Glaive for the Kinsect. Kinsect returns to you. The Insect Glaive can be used to control a Kinsect, a small insect that harvests extracts from your monsters. Insect Glaive also allows you to vault, so you can perform jumping attacks at any time. The Kinsect returns to you at the end of your turn, granting you the benefit of the essence it collected for 1 minute. This duration is refreshed each time the Kinsect returns to you with essence of a creature. Upon collecting red, white, and orange essences, the Kinsect will only collect green essences until the essence fades. The Kinsect does not gain bonus damage from essence. It has magical effects, including the bonus damage from this weapon's rarity or ability modifier. So the Kinsect will just be the same Kinsect across all rarities, which makes sense. Mark's saying to hack it then. I don't know. I don't know if I want to, because I'm sure Amellwind put in a lot of thought to balancing the weapons. So we'll see how it plays out. I mean, okay, even with like an uncommon switch axe, you get a +1 bonus to damage just pretty much any time you want to, right? With the switch axe mode, in sword mode, which is pretty good. Whereas with charge blade in axe mode, it's well, it's a D12 outright, and uncommon. Bleh. When you're hit by an attack, you can Hellish Rebuke. Yeah. Yeah, no. Charge Blade is just outright better than Switch Axe here. First of all, the base damage dice is higher. Switch Axe does 1d10 or 1d8, depending on sword, whether you're using sword mode or axe mode. And then the files that you get with it don't start getting to be really good until you have a very rare or legendary Switch Axe. Because then you can poison, you can paralyze and hex. At the legendary level, you can hex. At the very rare level, you can start paralyzing per hit, which is kind of crazy, actually. And a paralyzed creature, if they are actually paralyzed, all attacks on that creature by any source, by any melee source, are criticals, which is insanely good. If you can just paralysis lock them with a very rare switch axe, that's actually kind of broke. You're not using spell slots. You're not using additional items. That's kind of broke. Yeah, I would probably remove paralysis file. Wow, or be paralyzed for 1 minute. Dude, that's crazy. 1 minute is 10 rounds of critical hits against a monster. That's fucking insane. This has to be nerfed. My god. 1 minute of paralysis. Yeah, I'm gonna look that up. Maybe the big monsters, you know, in this Monster Hunter version, maybe the big monsters are just too good. Like they will succeed on Constitution checks of this level, no problem. Or maybe they can break out of paralysis earlier than a minute. Oh no, here. The creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of their turns, ending the effect on a successful save. There you go. So unless I roll ones for 10 rounds, then there's no way that a creature will be stuck for a whole minute. Anyway, Standing Leap. This is for the Insect Glaive. Standing Leap allows you to, as an action while not wearing heavy armor, you can make a standing leap forward or upwards, covering a number of feet equal to your strength score, plus your proficiency bonus. Oh, score, not modifier. Cool. So if you have a strength of 16, that's 16 feet up, plus proficiency bonus. Very nice. And as a part of the same action, you may make a single weapon attack against a target. That's not bad. Not bad at all. D8 slashing, two-handed. Kinsect does a ranged weapon attack of 60 to 120 feet. 1d6 bludgeon damage. And then it's part of your attack action until you have multiple attacks. Then the Kinsect will actually replace one of them. That sucks. That's a big downgrade. Oh, no. If you're able to make multiple attacks with the attack action, then this attack replaces one of those multiple attacks. Okay. Wait, no. Same understanding. Brain fart. I'm dumb. So, but the Kinsect won't be able to. Um, the Kinsect won't be able to actually extract anything until you get a rare insect glaive. Okay, so they simplified the way that the extract is, or the essence is extracted. You don't aim for a specific body part of a monster to get that color of essence. Instead, it the Kinsect will automatically absorb essences in the order of red, white, and then orange. And I suppose you can opt to get a green essence instead of any of those colors whenever you want. Oh, this is a new weapon. This is, I guess, how he's handling spellcasters in the Monster Hunter world. So the Magus Staff is not from any Monster Hunter game, I think, unless there's some sort of, weird China-made Monster Hunter game or Monster Hunter Online, which I've never played. The Magus Staff does arcane interference. Due to the magical nature of this weapon, a creature cannot wield a shield while attuned to this weapon. It is a focus, and this weapon acts as a spell focus for your spellcasting. At the uncommon level, it offers spell storing. This staff stores spells cast into it, holding them until the attuned wearer uses them. The staff can store up to 1 level worth of spells at a time. Only the wielder can cast a spell of first level into the staff by touching the staff as the spell is cast. The spell has no effect other than to be stored in the staff. If the staff can't hold a spell, the spell is expended without effect. The level of the slot used to cast a spell determines how much space it uses. Okay. Alright, so that at rare, it upgrades to level 2, and then you also get a defense bonus. At very rare, it upgrades to 4 levels worth of spells that can be held, and then the defense bonus ups to 2. And then at legendary, you can do up to 5th level, and the defense gets bumped up to 3. Okay? This part I need to read very, very carefully because I want to be able to create custom hunts. Whoa, look at the size of that Raytheon compared to the hunter down here. I love that juxtaposition. Well, here, an example hunt. Very useful. Let's use an example hunt. Below you will find what I prepare for a hunt in addition to a rough version of the party arriving in the territory and going through the first area. GM prep. The first thing I do is decide on the creature for this hunt. A Yankatku, CR3, which will take 3 signs to find. My false sign creature will be a blue Yankatku, CR5, that takes 5 signs to locate. Wait, there's terminology here that I'm not getting. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and refill my tea because my throat is getting quite scratchy. If you'll excuse me, I'm just going to BRB for a little bit. All right, back to the thing. Here we go. Um, so I'm just gonna go ahead and study this, reading the how to actually do the hunt, or how to read the way that he annotates his hunts, because it's a little bit different. Like this is for the Wrath of the Raytheon hunt. There's some terminology here that I'm not quite familiar with. Like, uh, I mean, I can kind of tell what a goal is, the hunt to hunt a Raytheon, but there's also this false creature thing. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's like the aspect of Monster Hunter, like in Monster Hunter World, where generally there's more than one large creature in the vicinity when you're doing a main hunt, and you have to sometimes deal with both of them if you're not careful. I also don't know how to factor in minor challenges or major challenges, um, and I'm not quite sure how to understand or how to portray benefits either. So let's go ahead and read the guide to running a hunt. All right. Choosing the creature to hunt. Choosing which creature is the first step and easiest step to creating your hunt. Typically, typically a creature the players are hunting will be a deadly encounter with one or more creatures for the party's level. Okay, so it needs to be deadly. There are things to consider though when choosing your creature. In the Monster Hunter video game series, hunters would typically go up against a single deadly monster. But in 5e D&D, the action economy does not handle solo boss fights well, so how do we adapt the fight? The options are to add minions, adding in lower CR creatures to the fight that, if left alone, may cause issues for the party. Choose a weaker monster, but it acts as if it was multiple monsters. A weaker version of the Paragon monster system. You choose a monster that is weaker but acts as if it was multiple monsters. It has multiple turns per round, equal to the number of monsters it is supposed to represent, and its hit points is equal to the total of all the monsters it would represent. This is my recommendation because it will provide a steadier amount of damage instead of the burst damage from a higher solo CR creature. Okay. Solo boss fight. For 3 PCs, maximize the creature's hit points. For 4 PCs, maximize the hit points and then add an additional 50% more hit points. For 5 PCs, maximize its hit points and then double it. Alright, these are some recommendations. We can take those into account. I'll probably do the minions first because that's the way I would do it personally. But I've never done the Paragon monster system that he's talking about here. So I could give this a shot too if I if I'm understanding this right. It's basically you're splitting the monster's turn, not splitting it. You're giving him extra actions per turn, essentially. Multiple turns per round. Oh no, that's it. You're giving it multiple turns per round. So it has a whole set of actions twice or 3 times per round. That's pretty brutal, actually. All right, creating the creature's territory. Creating the creature's territory is the second step. The territory is just like a dungeon, but instead of rooms, it uses areas. Okay? An area is a location within the monster's territory where something may be found or some type of event may occur. Each area should have some type of description, much like a room in the dungeon, and have an idea of what resources would be available. Typically, a hunt should have between 8 to 10 areas, some of which the party may or may not ever explore. Traveling between areas should take time. It might be 5 minutes, an hour, or 4 hours. This helps explain why creatures aren't aware of the party when they enter a new area, or why the environment might change dramatically between them, such as going from a muddy, forested area to a full-blown swamp. Excuse me. The example area above is a rough version of the forest and hills, a territory in the original Monster Hunter video games. The starting point area is A, and from there the party can venture out across the area in search of the monster. Some areas have multiple directions you can choose to go next. Area 3, for example, you can actually go to Area 2, Area 4, Area 6, or Area 8. Hey, I know this. This is actually this is from Monster Hunter 4, Ancient Jungle. or ancient forest. Yeah, this map is very familiar to me. While others are dead ends, for example, like in Area 5. This is actually the nest of the Raytheon or Rathalos. Or perhaps they loop back to areas you already came from. The dotted lines represent a travel time between each area, which is up to the GM how long it takes. How do we supply the hunters? When the group heads out on a hunt, does the guild provide them with supplies? At lower rank hunts, probably. At higher ranks, they will most likely have enough gold to supply themselves. Nonetheless, the guild supply chest is a great way, as a GM, to give your PCs supplies they might need in an immersive fashion, instead of just telling them that they get 2 potions of healing and a pickaxe before the game starts. Okay, now we go on the hunt. Now that we've determined what creature we're hunting, what territory it's located in, and what our areas within that territory look like, we will look into the roles our party members have and how you as a GM will help them track it down. When the hunt begins, the PCs choose between 4 different roles to take on. These roles are the Trailblazer, the Scout, the Spotter, and Artisan. Trailblazer. Whenever the group enters an area, the Trailblazer rolls a survival check versus the creature's Carve DC. On a failure, the GM rolls a d10 on the Finding Signs table. On a success, the GM rolls a d20 instead. On a critical, the GM rolls a d20 and take the highest roll. On a nat 1, the GM rolls 2d10 and take the lowest roll. Oof. I think he meant here, on a critical, the GM rolls 2d20. Yeah. So it's basically rolling the Finding Signs table with advantage. Alright, so that's a Trailblazer. The Spotter. The Spotter uses their passive perception to scope out for any ambushes or dangers missed initially by the Scout. There can be 2 Spotters. The second Spotter gives a +4 perception bonus to the other. The Scout is the initial person who enters an area. They get the lay of the land, potential resources, creatures in the area, potential hazards. When a Scout notices a potential spot for an ambush, it gives a Spotter a bonus to their perception. And the Artisan. The Artisan is a person who creates the initial meal at the start of the hunt. For now, they can make a DC 10 cooking check, and on a success, the group all gains inspiration at the start. On a fail, the GM can reroll once on the Finding Signs table. Sometimes the party may split up, one split into groups of 2. The only roles available are the Trailblazer and the Spotter. If someone is alone, they are both the Trailblazer and Spotter, but they either have to choose to take a disadvantage on their survival roll for Finding Signs, or take a -4 to their passive perception. Alright, now to track down the prey. How do we find the creature? As a GM, do we just put it down in an area and say that is where it is always going to be? Do we put it in the last area and they eventually get to it, much like the end of a dungeon? No, this creature is in the wilderness. It travels around, it leaves signs, and acts like any animal would. This is what the system below is designed to represent. The party travels around the creature's territory, dealing with environmental hazards, skill challenges, and other creatures while searching for signs of their prey. On the hunt, the party must discover signs of the creature, distant roars, tracks, markings, fresh kills, etc. The party will typically need to find between 3 and 5 signs. Once they do, they locate the monster, and the final battle of the hunt begins. False signs. When you are on a hunt, the creature you are looking for is not the only one in the area. One of the GM options in the minor and major challenges is finding false signs. These signs work the same as finding signs for the current creature you are hunting. Once you find 3 or 5 of these false signs, a hard or deadly encounter occurs. It is typically best to know what creature the PCs will encounter when they find these false signs. It wouldn't make much sense if they are finding tufts of fur and then end up fighting a Rathalos. How to find signs. Whenever the Trailblazer rolls a survival check for entering an area, the GM rolls on the table below to determine what signs, challenges, or benefits they may find in the area. So on a D20, D20, 1 to, well, actually on a D10 or a D20, 1 to 9 are challenges, 10 and above are signs, with or without challenges or benefits. Challenges and benefits. If the Trailblazer rolls anything less than an 18 on their tracking roll, they must overcome a challenge on their hunt. These challenges can either be major or minor, depending on the result. Likewise, if a group rolls a 20 on their tracking roll, they come across a benefit that can seriously aid them in their hunt. Minor challenges include non-combat encounters, skill checks, or minor environmental hazards. They may also include minor combats against weaker foes, generally a medium difficulty encounter. In general, a minor challenge should cost a few resources and be a minor setback, but shouldn't stop the PCs dead in their tracks. Major challenges are potentially deadly or severely hindering the party. A major challenge might include a dangerous environmental hazard, a deadly encounter, expending limited resources such as spell slots or items. They shouldn't be impossible to overcome, but should require much more effort from the PCs. Benefits are a boon to the party. These could be a hidden cache of hunter supplies, the carvable corpse of a recently deceased monster that is normally outside the party's ability to kill, or anything else the GM might come up with. Alright, we have a table of examples. I think we stopped with the GM prep. Alright, so let's continue that now that we know what to expect, what to look out for. I will decide on its territory and areas. For this example, we use the forest and hills example map from a few pages above. After I have my creature, its territory, and areas within it, I make a table of 2 to 4 benefits, 2 to 4 major challenges, and 8 to 10 minor challenges determined by the party's level. We will assume we have 4 second level PCs. So this is the table of minor challenges and a table of benefits. GM prep is complete. I have all that I need to begin the hunt. The hunt begins. Each of my players chooses a role. Instead of giving them names, we will just refer to each character by their role. They start their hunt in Area A. I read off the following text. You set your base camp in a caved-in area complete with the standard amenities. The blue supply chest sits next to your yellow cloth tents. A small outdoor fire pit has been constructed around 4 logs that are used as chairs to sit on while you eat. Through the mouth of the cave are grassy fields bordered by a river with a forest off in the distance. The group then proceeds to inspect the supply chest, where I provide them with 2 potions of healing and 2 days' rations each. They also find supplies needed for gathering resources in the area: a pickaxe, a bug net, fishing pole, and an herbalist kit. Once they determine who gets what, the artisan gets to work cooking up a meal for the group. On a successful cooking check, the artisan provides inspiration to everyone in the group as the hunt begins. The Trailblazer is up next as the group leaves the starting area and moves towards Area 1. They make a DC 12 survival check, and they roll a 17. As a GM, that means I roll a d20 on the Finding Signs table, keeping it hidden to prevent any type of metagaming. I roll an 11. Consulting the Finding Signs table, it means that they find 1 sign and a minor challenge occurs in Area 1. I chose the 4 Velociprey minor challenge. Now the scout is up, they go on ahead to scout the area. I have them roll a stealth check and a perception check. Upon their arrival into Area 1, I describe the area. The scout goes unseen by the Velociprey, who are currently heading first into an Aptonoth carcass. With such low perception, they don't notice a cuckoo scale in the grassy fields. With the group still about 10 minutes back, the scout returns and relays the information he saw. Once regrouped, the party continues into Area 1 stealthily. While the spotter keeps an eye out on their passive perception, with their passive perception, the scout points out the Velociprey up ahead. Most are still feeding, but one is up and wandering around. With some careful planning, the party wipes out the Velociprey and carve their bodies from materials. During this time, though, the spotter finds the broken cuckoo scale. The hunt continues from there. Okay, cool. All in all, I'm pretty happy with how this how this guide suggests we run a Monster Hunter campaign. So I'm going to end the stream there while I flesh out the specific adventure that I'm going to be throwing Sarah, Arvin, Eagle, and RJ at on Friday. So thanks everyone for sitting with me here. I know it was kind of a uneventful stream. I'd go far as to say it was boring. I don't mind admitting that much. But if you did enjoy, then mm, wow. Let me know and we can do this again. If not, then we'll continue finding other things to do on Wednesdays. I'm not sure if Mark is going to stream in the afternoon, um, but we'll make an announcement if he will. You can stick around our socials to find out whether or not that's happening. So until next time, guys, love the game, but love each other more. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, and take care of yourselves. Please play you out with the intro. Bye, bitches.